night for my nigga Hollywood Uno's homecoming, you know what I mean? So, dude, so let's follow the story. So anyway, I'm on the hallway, you know what I mean? I'm driving, you know what I mean? You know, Platinum's in the passenger seat, you know what I mean? Flame, you know, he's in the back seat, you know, around this time, me, Platinum, and Flame, you know, was rolling with each other real tight, you know what I mean? You know, 'cause not only we became close, but, you know, we had the beef with, you know, Lack and all that shit, so we were just rolling together more and shit, so we, you know, riding down the highway, I'm driving, you know, my phone waiting, so, it's a jail call, you know, it's my nigga Uno, you know what I mean? As I said prior, you know, remember Uno got locked up because, you know, he got caught with that gun on him, plus he had a charge in New York, so, you know, Uno, you know what I mean? He was able to beat the charge in New York. They dismissed that, but he had to do a year and a day in jail for the gun. So, you know, Uno, you know, is about to get out in like 2 days, so Uno calls my phone. I answer it. I'm like, yo, Uno, what up? You know what I mean? You know, so Uno, you know, you like, yo, what's good? You know what I mean? So we talking. I let him know that, you know, Flame and Platinum in the call with me, you know, everybody said what up. So he's asking, you know, like, what we doing, like, what's good? I was like, we heading over to, Farrago House, you know, we about to go watch the, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. And, you know, Uno was like, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So that's when I said to Uno, what's good, baby? I was like, 2 more days and you wanted it, my nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's good, nigga? I know you happy, nigga. He was like, yeah, definitely. So I let him know, you know. And we definitely held him down, you know what I mean? You know, we held his girls down. You know, made sure they kept, you know, getting money, you know what I mean? Putting money to the side, putting money on his books, you know what I mean? You know, Magnificent, you know, she held his hoes down while he was locked up, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, everything just kept running smooth. Even after Uno got locked up, you know, the girls kept working. You know, we kept money on his books, you know what I mean? He was good in there, he was straight, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So he was thinking, you know, me, and, you know, he said, he was thinking Magnificent for holding him down, you know, so we like, you know, no doubt. So I also let him know, yo, we having a big homecoming for him, you know what I mean? You know, a big surprise, you know what I mean, party or whatever, you know what I mean? I told him we gonna open the booty palace up for one night only, for your homecoming. He like, what? I'm like, yeah, nigga, why not, nigga? You know what I mean? You my nigga, so you like, for sure. So, of course, you know, couldn't stay on the phone long 'cause he locked up, so, you know, told him, yo, see you in, 2 more days, my nigga, you know what I mean? So Flame and Platinum told him, wished him well, you know, got off the phone with him, now we head to Farrago House. You know what I mean? We get there, you know, the rest of the crew there, Farrago there, 88's there. You know, everybody at Farrago House to see the, Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. You know, 'cause Farrago got this big-ass 98-inch TV, you know what I mean? Big-ass motherfucking, TV screen, look like a fucking movie theater, you know what I mean? So we watched the Jake Paul fight, you know, I had money on Tyson, of course, you know what I mean? Farrago had money on Tyson, you know, 'cause we from New York, Tyson from New York, of course. So we betted money on Tyson. 88 was like, yo, you know, she betted against, Tyson. She betted on the white boy, Jake Paul. She was like, Tyson old, da-da-da-da-da. So, you know, her and her father, going back and forth arguing, how they do. And, Mike Tyson wound up losing. I was massive. Motherfucker, I lost all that money, but it is what it is, right? So, anyway, the next day, we started, prepping for, Uno's homecoming, he's getting out in like 2 days and shit. So I had Magnificent, set up set up the party and shit. She already, held the girls down, while, Una was locked up, as the madam or whatever, she held it down. So I told her, get like a fly Airbnb, a big ass Airbnb. That's kind of similar to what we had, So her and Booster, They found us a nice Airbnb, good size, you know what I mean? And of course, Booster and a bunch of people was always asking us when we was gonna bring the Booty Palace back, so we was letting everybody know we bringing the Booty Palace back for one night only for Uno's homecoming. So I got contact with Missy King, you know what I mean? Missy King is, the pros, she does like swinger parties and she does flyers, so that's what got us out the gym, prior, you know what I mean? So I told Missy King, make up a few flyers, let them know we bringing the Booty Palace back for one night only for Uno's homecoming. So Missy King made up the flyers. I got in contact with Lethal Lips, because I know Lethal Lips personally. Lethal Lips, the porn star, she from New York, she from Queens like me, so I got in contact with Lethal Lips so that way she could host the party. And, of course, DJ Bay, I hired her as a DJ, DJ Bay is family. And, we just want to do it big, so, and we letting all the clientele from before and everybody that kept asking for the Booty Palace to be reopened, we letting them know we doing it one more time for, Uno. So everything's prepping. I also had a surprise from my nigga Uno, I was copping him a whip. I was getting him a brand new car, So like, next day after that, which was probably like the day of Uno coming home, me and Platinum and Flame, Platinum and Flame picked me up, what I'm saying? And also Flame and Platinum pull up to my spot and they pick me up. Flame was driving his Range Rover, Platinum in the passenger seat, I get in the back. Of course, we all three of us are strapped, vest up, cause we got beef in the city, but we ain't thinking about that. We're still rolling around doing what we want, so me, Platinum, and Flame head over, to pick up Uno's car, Now, even Flame and Platinum ain't know what kind of car I was getting them. I wanted to surprise them too. So we pull up, to the car, to the car spot. So I go in, and I roll out, with the car. And that's when Platinum and Flame was like, going crazy, because when I pulled out in an Aston Martin DB12, dark green, with the peanut butter color, leather seats, suede interior, I got out so, Platinum and Flame could see the car. They was going crazy, Brand new Aston Martin DB12, shit, fire, with the light brown, same color as peanut butter seats, suede interior, on the floor of the car, on the suede carpet of the floor. It said Hollywood and Uno on it, had his name, in the seats and all that, so, they was going crazy, like, yo, this shit is fire. I'm like, yeah, no doubt. So, Flame and Platinum get in the Range Rover, I get in the Aston Martin, they follow behind me. So, I'm driving on the highway, Flame trying to, race me, while I'm in the Aston Martin, and, that range ain't no match for the Aston Martin, so I'm stepping on the shit, zooming past them niggas like crazy. So, as we, pull off to the highway, we riding around, we passing through, like, Dallas, we driving through. I see a dice game going on. I see a few niggas that I knew over there rolling dice, So I pull over. Of course, Platinum and Flame behind me pull over. So when I pull up, in that Aston Martin DB12, that dark green shit, everybody at the dice game stopped and was like, what the fuck? So niggas, they got their cell phones out. Niggas is filming. They like, what the fuck, So I seen they was rolling dice. I like to gamble, so that's why I pulled over and I got out. So I got out, I got my shit on me. Platinum and Flame get out, they got their shit on them. So they, they see the Range Rover, they see the Aston Martin, they like, yo, I seen a few niggas I knew, So shook hands and went, oh, what up, Platinum and Flame seen a few niggas, so I'm like, yo, y'all niggas rolling dice, who got bank, who got bank? So it was this grimy ass nigga from out in Dallas, named Sonny Black. Now this nigga was known, to not only set niggas up and rob niggas and be a motherfucking hater. He was also known for ass betting, like trying to cheat niggas and dice and shit. But I'm like, fucking, I ain't paying no mind, you know what I mean? I'm like, nah, this nigga wouldn't try me like that, you know what I mean? So, Platinum and Flame standing on the side, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I start rolling dice, you know what I mean, with the niggas, Sonny Black, I'm stroking them, boom, boom, I'm hitting them niggas, head cracking them, boom, boom. So meanwhile, people still got their cell phones out filming the car, you know what I mean, because they like, yo, they never seen this, you know what I mean, the Aston Martin DB12, that's brand new, plus, the color was getting everybody's attention, so they like, yo, these niggas doing it big, so everybody filming the car. So boom, so after a while, I'm killing them. This nigga, Sonny Black, this grimy ass nigga tried to ass bet me. I'm like, yo, man, who said the bet was this? Now you saying the bet, so me and him got to an argument, so we arguing back and forth. This nigga tried to, act like I'm nobody, like, and so this nigga turns his back to take another bet. That's where I took my gun, and I just, hit the nigga upside his head, boom, and I just started pistol whipping him. Now nobody jumped in because everybody know Sonny Black is a grimy ass nigga, you know what I mean? So, niggas are just standing around, so now niggas got their cell phones out filming me, and I'm pistol whipping the nigga, pistol whipping him. You know what I mean? Stomping him, pistol whipping him. So, Platinum, had 245s on him. He got them both out in his hand, but, he just got them out just in case somebody try to jump in, flamed out his, handle his shit, and I'm just pistol whipping it. So now the nigga Sonny Black is just laying there knocked out, face lumped up, snoring. So niggas is laughing, is filming it with their cell phones out. They're like, yo, this nigga really snoring. And another nigga like, yo, look at this nigga face, like his whole shit was swelled up. So now I start going to the nigga pockets. I'm like, nigga, you fucking crazy nigga try to ass bet me. I'm going through this nigga pockets now, I'm taking his money. I'm like, yeah. So I took, money out of both his pockets, then I lift up his pants leg, kind of like how old dog did the Chinese man in the fucking liquor store. When I went through his ankle, when I went through his socks and his ankle, I'm like, dingo, another, bankroll. I'm like, jackpot, nigga. So I'm like, fuck wrong with, so I stood up over it. I'm like, fuck wrong with you niggas. And now everybody's laughing. They got their cell phones out filming them. They like, yo, this nigga look crazy. I'm like, fuck out of here. So, I get it back in the Aston Martin. Platinum and Flame getting the Range Rover. And then, boom, I take off. Flame follows behind me, So now everybody's filming and, laughing at this nigga. You know what I mean? They laughing at him, you know what I mean? Because I can hear the people still laughing and see through the rearview mirror that they filming him still on the ground. He even tried to get up. He's stumbling and falling and shit. They filming and laughing like, yo, you know what I mean? So, cool. So then that's when, we gotta, get up, because that's when Magnificent let me know that one of Uno's hoes went to the jail to go pick him up. You know what I mean? He's about to be released. So I'm like, cool. So I let Magnificent know. I picked up the car, and we gonna meet up with him at the party. You know what I mean? Because I ain't want me, Platinum and Flame ain't want to go up to the jail because we don't know if they watching or whatever. So she like, cool. You know what I mean? Cool. So. I was like, I'm sure, they'd call me or whatever and let me know when he get out, you know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take the car to my crib and go change up, and we gonna prepare for the party that night, you know what I mean? Cool, so I head home, Platinum and Flame, they go, cause everybody gonna prepare for Uno. Just come home and, do the party. So when I get in the crib, London walks up to me, she's like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, what happened? She was like, yo, so then she hands me the phone, and there's the video of me pistol whipping the shit out of the nigga Sonny Black. I'm pistol whipping him, everybody laughing. And she said, yo, this shit got over 20,000 views, and this shit was just posted an hour ago. I'm like, I just laughed. She was like, you fucking crowd. I'm like, man, fuck that nigga. So everybody's laughing at this nigga, making fun of him and shit. Bad people that he done raw to set up. They in the comments like, yeah, about time that nigga got his karma. They was like, fuck that nigga, you know what I mean? So they laughing at him. So now, Sonny Black, I'm sure, somewhere get angry that everybody's clowning that I pistol whipped his ass and, and, what I'm saying, took his money and shit. So, and of course, people was complimenting the car, saying, yo, that car's fly, you know what I mean? So costing, they got, I look at the car or whatever, so cool. So, but I'm like, man, fuck that nigga. So we repairing. So meanwhile, who knows, hoes, they go pick him up from the jail. He called me. I'm like, yeah, welcome home, nigga. So, and I seen the footage later, one of the, hoes was documenting, filming him getting out of jail. So now, they don't, put the jury on him, you know what I mean? They don't, put like, a jacket on him, you know what I mean? Like, they like, yeah, you home, baby, you home. So now he's in the passenger seat, they filming. While he on the phone, me, I'm on the speakerphone, cause I later saw the footage. I'm on the speakerphone like, yeah, nigga. I was like, yeah, you home now, nigga Hollywood, my nigga. He's smiling in the footage, Cause like I said prior, black and Dominican, he, brown skin, nigga. With long silky hair like Lori with green eyes, you know what I mean? So he's like a dark skinned nigga with green eyes, long silky hair, and it's his, you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, nigga, you home now, nigga, yeah. So letting them know, yo, we don't celebrate, nigga. The booty palace is open, baby. He's like, yeah. He was like, it's time to get this money, my nigga. I'm like, for sure. So cool. I let him know I'm gonna see him at the party. And I love him, Get off the phone with him, so of course, So, I'm also, got a little surprise for myself, you know what I mean? I was flying in these two Dominican, sisters that I met out in Miami, you know what I mean? These two stripper sisters named Rosie and Eva, you know what I mean? They real popular out in Miami, not only for, stripping and dancing and, being in all, then every Rick Ross video, Trina video, Khaled video, City Girls video, Drake video, like, you know what I mean? They were just real popular, on Instagram and being in the clubs and, they were, both cute Dominican girls, but they was born in America. You know what I mean? And they kind of like had that Drea from Basketball Wives type body to where if you look at them from the front, you'd think they just regular slim girls. And when they turn around, they both had fat basketball asses. And it was real, you know what I'm saying? Real, you know what I mean? So I've been talking to them and, dying and fiending to crack them both at the same time. Because, when I met them, they said they do anything together. They're a package deal, you know what I mean? And plus they both wanted me, you know what I mean? They was both attracted to me, so, they was like, fucking, they both wanted to get with a nigga, but, you know what I mean? I was in Dallas, they was in Miami, so now here's the time for me to get my chance with them, so I'm flying them in. So I picked them up from the airport, took them to the hotel, you know what I mean? So that way they can get comfortable and prepared for the party. So boom. So the night of, you know what I mean? I had another friend come in, my nigga, Bones Pacino. Bones Pacino is from New York, you know what I'm saying? And he grew up with me and Uno too. Like all three of us, we go back, you know what I mean? We went to August Martin together, high school, all three of us. So, Bones Pacino comes through. So the night of the party, we all get dressed up, I got the Aston Martin. My nigga Bones Pacino got one of my other cars. He had my BMW. So, he followed behind me, I scoop up them girls, you know what I mean, the twins, Rosie and Eva, picked them up. So now, we go into the party. So when we get there, there's mad cars there, big ass Airbnb, magnificent, done rented out. So everybody there, so I parked the Aston Martin to the side, cause, I'm a surprise Uno later. So, we walk in, you know what I mean? I get into the spot, Magnificent is there, she's like a hostess, making make sure everything's smooth. So kiss Magnificent on the cheek, you know what I mean? She all dressed sexy, titties pushed up and shit. Of course, all the hoes, we had like motherfucking maybe like 80 to like 100 hoes, no lie. Like, we done flew all the strippers in, we done had all the, the hoes from, Dallas that be stripping, everybody's there. 88's there, cause 88's dancing, you know what I mean? I brought her out of retirement, so 88's there. 88's dancing on the pole. When I get there, she getting money. Boosting all his friends doing money on 88. charisma there, she's bartended and, walking around ass, bouncing, she got like a whole bunch of, money around her waist and shit that done tipped her crazy. And of course I got mad other hoes and I got Lethal Lips, the porn star herself. You know what I mean? Big old ass walking around, hosting on the microphone, DJ Bay there on the microphone. So, Platinum and Flame is there. You know what I mean? The wise man, light-skinned wise, is doing security alone. My nigga Ann Brolett, doing security, you know what I mean? So, we good. So now Uno comes due, with his hoes. Everybody celebrating, got the cameras and lights, I hug him and shit, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Niggas popping champagne, you know what I mean? Looking like, you looking like Kobe Bryant when he won the championship, you know what I mean? Bunch of bottles popping, cameras flashing, you know what I mean? Everybody happy, so everybody just having fun, partying, bitches, in there getting money. Cause like I said, a lot of our clientele that was asking for the booty palace, they in there, so the girls is doing lap dances. They doing VIP specials, you know what I mean? Whatever, the guy wanna do, you know what I mean? Everything is going down. We having a ball, you know what I mean? We just doing our thing, you know what I mean, at the booty palace and shit. So now, the night's winding down. I got the two, Dominican sisters, they dancing and shit, they getting their money and shit. Everybody was going crazy, you know what I mean? Wanted to do VIP with them, but they didn't do VIP, they just, was dancing and shit, cause, that didn't, I flew them in for me, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, I was brown nosing that night, you know what I mean? I wanted to crack at them, at that pussy first, you know what I mean? So, they ain't do no VIP that night, but, they was dancing and shit, and, so I had to, everybody was going crazy over the twins. They like, damn, you know what I mean? So we just having a ball and shit. So now the night winded down, and, I put my arm around Uno. I'm like, yo, let me show you something. So I take him outside. So, I was like, yo, man, I want to show you my new shit. So when he saw the Aston Martin DB12, he like, ooh, we like, nigga, this shit crazy. I like, this shit fire, right? I was like, yeah, I copped it, yesterday or whatever. So he looking, I opened up the seats, and then when he seen his name, Hollywood Uno on the floors, so he looked at me like with this surprise face, like a little kid when they first see the Christmas presents on the tree. I'm like, yeah, so I handed him the key like, yo, so he hugged me, you know what I mean? People got their cell phones out and shit, you know what I mean? The hoes and shit, hoes that's, filming. The rest of the hoes are inside getting money. So, we hugging each other, you know what I mean? The nigga then they got tears. I'm like, I love you, boy. He's like, I love you, we hugging. I'm like, yeah, nigga, you know what I mean? So he get in the car and shit, they taking pictures of him. So then I'm like, yo, pop up in the trunk. So Uno gets out, he opened the trunk, mad bags, from Louis and Gucci, I bought him mad clothes and shit. So, we hugging this shit, cause he already came home to the condo, the same realtor that got my condo. You know what I mean? We copped him a condo, so he then they got he like my nail. I'm like, yo, I love you, nigga. We hugging again, you know what I mean? He like, yeah. So he gets in the car again. So now I got my phone out, so I'm like, yeah, start the engine, nigga. So as soon as Uno start the engine, everybody's like, yeah, when the engine came on, he's stepping on it, making that shit growl. The engine growling like, boom, boom. Everybody like, yeah, everybody, you know what I mean? So that's when we was like, yo. So we wanted everybody to go back in because we didn't want the neighbors to, to complain and shit because we had to, keep the party going. So we go back in, I got my arm around him and yelling like, yo, I love you, nigga. And he's like, I love you too, Bones Pacino was like, you know what I mean? So we, reminiscing Heidi a little bit how we, we came up to look at us now and shit. Cool. So the party's still going, you know what I mean? You know how Uno is. He was like, it's all fun, but these hoes still gotta get money. So Uno, his hoes magnificent. And Platinum and Flame and Booster and his crew, everybody was still at the Airbnb. It's like maybe 3, 4 in the morning. The party's still going all night. So I'm like, yo, I'm about to leave with the twins and shit. So he's like, yeah. So Bones Pacino said he was gonna catch a ride with Uno and the hoes, you know what I mean? With Uno and his hoes. So Bones Pacino gonna stay at the party with Uno and his hoes, so that's how he gonna get, to where he going. So I'm like, alright, so me and the two twins, Rosie and Eva, we get into, my car that Bones drove for me, you know what I mean? So I got to my car now, so now, Rosie get in the front, Eva get in the back, now we heading to the hotel and shit. So now I'm at the hotel with the two twins, you know what I mean? You know, I get in the shower, you know, they shower up, they both come out butt-ass naked. You know, two twin sisters, and when they said they do everything together, they do everything together. They, you know, they both giving me head, they both licking my balls, sucking my dick, they going crazy. So I'm fucking, you know, both the sisters. I'm tearing their asses up, I'm weighing them out, fucking them, you know what I mean? I'm hitting one sister from the back, the other one, you know what I mean, sitting on my face, you know what I mean? Then I put one girl, you know what I mean, lay her on the back, I'm hitting it while her legs is back. I put her sister on top of her, I'm eating her pussy while, you know, I'm freaking them out, you know, tearing their asses up, we fuck all night, boom, 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 boom. So now we both, you know, I lay in the bed, they both lay on each side of me, you know what I mean, so I'm just sitting there like, you know what I mean, like, just like I'm in heaven. So now I got the two sisters, all three of us butt-ass naked laying in the bed, I got one on each side, and I'm like, yeah, this is the life, you know what I mean. So I fall asleep. Now, this is what happened later, and I knew this from people telling me a little bit of footage here and there. So now, you know, the party ends, you know, so Uno, you know, he's excited, he's in the car. So, you know, Holmes, Pacino, and Uno, you know, they riding around, you know what I mean, in the Aston Martin or whatever. So the hoes, you know what I mean, you know, that's with Uno, you know what I mean, through the hoes, that's with Uno. They riding around, you know, Dallas, you know what I mean, they, you know, the hoes, like, fully, like five of them is in the car behind Uno, and Bones Pacino, they in Aston Martin, so they riding around, and, you know, the girl had her phone set up on the dashboard to where, you know, she's filming, you know what I mean, Uno driving in front of her, so, you know, cause, you know, we documenting everything, cause you know, we was thinking about doing a documentary on our lives, so she's driving around, following Uno, you know what I mean, with her phone set up on the dashboard. So, you know, of course he's on, you know, he's in the Aston Martin, you know what I mean, driving this shit, you know, she's catching all the footage. So they drop Bones Pacino off, you know what I mean, they drop him off, you know what I mean, so they ride around. So Uno is on the phone with the hoe that's driving behind him, you know, his hoes is in the car behind him, you know what I mean, it's like three in the back, two in the front, so it's five hoes in the car behind him. And Uno now is in the car by himself in the Aston Martin because he dropped Bones off. So he's on the speakerphone while they drive behind him, and you can hear him in the footage on the speakerphone saying, "Yo, man, we gotta find a Wendy's or a McDonald's." He said, I've been fiending for like a burger and some fries. He said, I ain't have a burger in a year, nigga. He was like, them burgers that they cooked in the jail. Nah, he said, I need a real burger. So you riding around, you know what I mean, looking for it, you know, so they found the Wendy's. He pulls through the drive-thru and shit. Now, meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, this nigga Sonny Black, that I, you know, done pistol whipped and beat up all on camera. He's angry, cause down the footage done got everywhere. You know, the shit is on World Star. They done took it down since then, but the shit was on World Star. The shit was everywhere. Everybody done posted it, you know, even Duke, and at this time I wasn't even fucking with Duke. Even Duke posted it and was laughing, you know what I mean? So this nigga, you know, he built up so much anger for me, you know what I mean? This grimy ass nigga Sonny Black. So him and his cousin Itchy, you know what I mean? Which was his cousin on his father's side, you know, so they blood cousins. So his cousin Itchy, so Sonny Black and his cousin Itchy was riding around looking for me. So, of course, the last time they see me, I hopped in this Aston Martin, and plus the Aston Martin is now known because it's in the footage with me. So Itchy and Sonny, they riding around looking for me. So I guess they see the Aston Martin in the drive-thru at the Wendy's. So Sonny Black, you know, it's like, yo, there they go right there. So now, this is what I seen in the footage. So Uno is in the Aston Martin, he's in the drive-thru, you know what I mean, you know, talking, you know, waiting, you know, for his order and shit, he's waiting for his order. So, in the footage you see a beat-up Toyota, raggedy-ass Toyota, pull up on the side. you see this old-ass, raggedy-ass Toyota pull up on the side, real slow. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the chick is filming. She got this camera phone set up. So you see the car roll up. You know what I mean? You see, Itchy in the driver's seat, and then the back window rolled down. You see Sonny Black. And then he sticks out a gun. Now, he assuming I'm in the car because this is the last car he see me in, plus the passenger seat window is rolled up as tinted, so he starts firing shots. Boom, 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 firing shot. So you hear the girl screaming in the footage, he fired like 12 shots, they take off, boom, they drive off. So of course all the hoes are screaming. Now you see them get out and they run to the car. You know what I mean? So they, trying to help Uno, so they call 911 and all this shit. All this is on camera, plus the footage from the Wendy's caught stupid ass Sonny Black and Itchy doing this, and you know what I mean? So, and this was all on Facebook Live. You know what I mean? Kind of like old boy, who done got caught up on Facebook and got same shit, but you could see the whole thing, you know what I mean, from this girl, from her view on her camera phone in the car behind. So, they get Uno to the hospital. Now, I'm laying in the bed with the two sisters. I get the call that Uno got shot. I'm like, oh, fuck. So my heart's racing. So, long story short, we get to the hospital. They said Uno's in stable condition. He got hit 7 times. So, we all praying. Uno pulls through. Uno survived, you know what I mean? To speed it up, Uno, he made a full recovery. The only difference was when he talked now, it sounded like he whispering, kind of like Beanie Siegel. Remember when Beanie Siegel got shot up? It sounded like he whispering out same thing. He made a full recovery though. Uno's good. He's still pimping hoes, all that. It's just now when he talked with a whisper. But, prior to him getting better, I put up 10K. And Uno's hoes put up 10K, so now we got 20K. We got 10K a piece on it. These, on these 2 fuck niggas that did this shit to Uno. So, we put so much motherfucking pressure on these niggas, right? This motherfucker, this nigga Itchy, he left town, he left Dallas, never to return again. He left Dallas. Plus, he snitched on his own cousin to let them know, he was willing to testify and all that. Long as they put him in protective custody, so they got motherfucking Itchy up out of Dallas, and he told. And plus, not only the police was looking for Sonny, but Black. We put so much pressure on him on the streets that he turned himself in. You know what I mean? Because he just couldn't take the pressure that we was putting on this nigga. So he cops out, so they give him like 18 years or something like that. He copped out to like 15 to 18 years, so he's in jail. But it's still a green light on this nigga. We still got 20K on this nigga. So now they putting pressure on him in jail. This nigga got stabbed on 2 different occasions. So not only he got stabbed on 2 different occasions, he keep getting jumped in jail. Because, like I said, there's 20K on this nigga. So he constantly getting beat up, stabbed up. This nigga stayed with a black eye or a swollen eye. It was nowhere where he could seek refuge, because even the COs in there was trying to pick up that 20K on the low, you know what I mean? So they would, do shit like, leave him in the area and turn a blind eye, and the inmate would come in and do something. So he couldn't fathom going through this shit for the next 15 to 18 years. So, I got the word that, this grimy ass nigga Sonny Black, he jumped, head first off the top tier, breaking his neck instantly, and dying, he killed himself. He just couldn't take it. So, Sonny Black wound up killing himself in jail from jumping off the top tier. You know what I mean? Uno, he made a full recovery. You know what I mean? Besides, his speaking voice, being a lower. Uno's still doing his thing. I spoke to him not too long ago. Uno's still pimping the hoes, doing his thing, you know what I mean? He keeping money on my books now. I'm in here, and, far as that nigga Sonny Black, fuck that nigga, he's a bitch. May he rest in piss, you know what I mean? The nigga Itchy was never seen again, you know what I mean? He's somewhere in witness protection in the witness protection program, living like a rat. But other than that, that was the time when, we opened up the booty palace, you know what I mean? But, yeah, man, what a time to be alive at that time, man. And, I had fun, you know what I mean, and it is what it is, you know what I mean? Shout out to my nigga Uno, man.